Welcome to the Parents PowerPoint presentation about A-Level Chemistry. To get started, the course we run at the John Roan is the OCR A course. Okay. So when looking at the details of the course, that's the one we need to be looking for. And it's the same for all of our A-Level sciences at the John Roan. Okay. So the A-Level Chemistry course is made up of 3 exams, all taken at the end of Year 13. These are 200 mark exams and then a final 70 mark exam. The grades for A-Level Chemistry is taken by totaling up the marks from these 3 exams and then using that to compute the overall grade the students will get. The first exam is Periodic Table Elements in Physical Chemistry, which covers the content from Module 1, 2, 3 and 5. So this is lots of calculations, energy work, for instance, explaining why some reactions give out heat, some reactions take in energy, explaining sort of practical skills which are required in A-Level Chemistry as well. The second exam also contains content from Modules 1 and 2, but focuses primarily on organic chemistry, so that's explaining fossil fuels, for instance crude oil, how they can be turned into plastics, into polymers, and then also looking at drug synthesis, how we might go around making aspirin, for instance. And then the final exam, the Unified Chemistry exam, covers all 6 units, so that is a synthesis paper taking into account everything that is studied during the whole of Year 12 and 13. There are no formal exams in Year 12, it's all done at the end of Year 13. The exams for summer 2021 are still to be decided because of the pandemic. Ordinarily they would take place sort of around the early to mid-June. This year sounds like they're going to be pushed back later, although the dates are still up in the air as I speak to you. So we take the grades from those 3 exams, or rather the exam board takes the grades from those 3 exams, tots them up, and from that a grade is calculated. Each year the grade boundaries change ever so slightly because of how easy or hard one particular year is. But ordinarily we're looking at just over 20% for an E grade, 35% for a D grade, nearly 50% for a C grade, 60% for B, and then A grade is 74-75%, and A star we're looking at over 85% to get that top A star grade. So the specification, what the content, what is covered in A-Level Chemistry can be found on the OCR website from that link, and it will give details of everything that's required from the course. So if you're unsure, if you need to remember the colour of a copper iron, it will tell you in the specification. It will tell you exactly what's required, which parts are covered, what is not covered, down to very small detail. And students all have access to these as well. Along with the specification, the students have a data sheet. They're given this in their exam. It will provide them with things like a periodic table, a load of formulas that they don't need to remember, calculations that they don't need to actually learn off by heart. They have these in their folders as well. And this is a really useful document. There's no point spending time revising an equation if it's given to you on the data sheet, because you'll just have it in the exam. There's no point learning the periodic table off by heart, because guess what? You get it in the exam. So that data sheet is really helpful and will be used all the time, and students will have access to it in their exam. Like all A-Level sciences, the A-Level Chemistry has a practical endorsement component to it. That practical endorsement component is composed of a number of practical tasks that students are required to do during Year 12 and 13. For A-Level Chemistry, there are 5 practicals we do in Year 12 and then 7 in Year 13. These practical tasks can be examined in the written exam, so you can be asked questions based on these practical tasks. If a student successfully completes all 12 of these practical tasks, they will receive a practical endorsement pass. This pass doesn't impact on the overall exam grade, so a student could theoretically get an A star in A-level chemistry but fail the practical endorsement, however unlikely that may be. The reason this exists is to support universities who are interested in students going to study science, engineering type subjects. The universities want evidence that students have practical skills, and this is the way that is assessed. So a university might offer a student a place on their chemical engineering course with a requirement of 3 Bs in their A-level subject and a pass in their practical endorsement for A-level chemistry. A student interested in studying economics, however, may get an offer of 3 Bs but with no mention of the practical endorsement, because for that subject having practical endorsement or not is not going to make any difference when they go to university. So far we've completed a number of practicals, and you can see that there is, for instance, 1.1 and 1.3 we have completed. What students need to do is complete at least one practical from section 1, one practical from section 2, one practical from section 3, and so on. But there are a number of practicals we can complete. So you can see we have actually completed practicals 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. So when we say they need to complete 12 practicals, it's the 12 practicals, one from each of those 12 sections. Okay. There is loads and loads of exam material to support students online. A good starting point is the Maths and Physics Tutor website, which doesn't have things only for physics. Also, OCR have loads of past exam papers with the mark schemes students can quite easily access. It's worth noting that the exams changed in 2016. However, all of the exams before 2016 are still available on the OCR website. The only difference is that the module orders are slightly different. There's 1 or 2 topics which are no longer covered. But for the vast majority, all of those exam questions from the exams before 2016 are still really, really good practice for students to be using. If they're unsure whether an exam question is in their new spec, they can just come and ask, and we can very easily let them know. There are loads of revision books available for A-level chemistry. I don't want to suggest a best one. I don't have a best one. It is your personal preference. I've always really liked the CGP books. That's a personal preference. My suggestion is to go to Waterstones. There's one in Greenwich, there's one up in Blackheath. Have a look at the books, decide which one you think is going to work well for you, and then pick that one up. We've got some books in Maze 105 for students to have a look at as well, and they can use those as a starting point to look at. We're running drop-in sessions on a Wednesday afternoon, period 5 and 6, when students don't have lessons. So if they want help with chemistry or biology or physics, they can turn up in 105 or 106 with questions they've tried and are unable to answer, and get a little bit of support outside of their lesson time. There's no appointments necessary, just turn up and come and ask for some support. There's various other resources all available online. We've got Seneca, Caboodle, ChemGuide is a fantastic A-level chemistry resource. There are a huge number of PowerPoints on the Knock Hardy website. Khan Academy have videos explaining a huge number of different topics, and then A-level chemistry have got loads and loads and loads of practice questions on there, most of which have the answers there as well for students to be using. Unfortunately, we need to just very briefly mention the pandemic. If a student isn't able to come into school, if they contact myself, the sixth form team, we can get work sent home to them and they may even be able to access some of the lessons through Teams. Okay, we can quite easily send printed work home as well if that helps. We just need to be aware that that is required. If I end up having to self-isolate, then I'll be able to teach using Microsoft Teams from home as at the usual classroom times. The students will just turn up to the lesson and I'll be at home but communicating to them via Microsoft Teams. In the unfortunate and hopefully unlikely situation the whole school closes, then we'll continue to deliver lessons using Microsoft Teams just as we did earlier in the year during May, June time. If there's going to be any internet or laptop PC issues around that, then please contact the sixth form team in the near future. Don't leave that until it is too late. If they are aware, they can already make plans around the potential for that happening. If you've got any further questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can email me and I'll get back to you, but hopefully that's given you some idea of the A-level chemistry course.